Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at the 17th Kingdom Experimental from Stockholm 17. This deck is part of the 2022 Patreon package from designer Lorenzo in Stockholm 17, and if you're not a member of his Patreon, I highly recommend it. It's arguably the best one out there, with each year coming with an amazing package of decks and other unique items to make it a really special experience. Now, he only does signups in the month of January, so if you're watching this video the day that it drops, you only have a few days left to sign up to be part of 2023. But let's jump back and take a look at one of the most unique decks to come out of 2022 with the 17th Kingdom. As the name suggests, this is an experimental deck. Of course, that unique hourglass shape being the experiment on this one. And he had to completely redesign the tuck box, or as you'll see, a little bit more of a wrap, I guess I would say, for the cards rather than a box. And expect to see a new and improved version of this, possibly for broader release in 2023. But for the experimental version, he decided to share the test with his patrons. Now the box here is done with a really nice ivory color with a mixture of gold and red foiling on this one and some nice embossing to give it some texture. Really nice feel to it overall, and I love how the gold foil and that texturing almost has a hammered metal look to it. Very simple, the 17th Kingdom Experimental and a nice ornate font at the top, and then Dracta Ludens, I think that says, which is playing cards in Latin, and then nice, fairly simple filigree around the edge. I love the hourglass shape cutout in the center that reveals an image of the Ace of Spades. We'll see the full artwork in a second, but already you can see just a little bit of Lorenzo's amazing illustration style just peeking out there. But more to come on that. And then as you turn it to the sides, you'll see that it's actually open here. So because it is a wrap, he left parts of it open to reveal the cards inside. In this case, you can see the unique yellow painted edges that the cards have. Down at the bottom here has Tempus Fugit, which is Latin for time flies. Of course, another hourglass, so really playing off of that time theme. And then on the other side, Carpe Diem, or seize the day. Bottom has your ad copy for Stockholm 17. Of course, mentions that this is the Patreon edition and out of 1,000 units produced. Top has yet another Latin phrase, Omnia Tempus Habent, which means I think all things have their time. And then on the back, more twisting, and you'll see how this unfolds in a second. But yet again, another one of his Latin phrases. This one appears on a lot of his decks. Si sedes non is, si non sedes is, which is a quasi palindrome that translates to, if you sit, you do not go. If you do not sit, you go. And then right here in the center of the wrap, you get that gold seal with the Stockholm 17 logo there in the middle. He usually includes this as like a sticker on a lot of his decks, but this time actually built into the tuck. And then the way this opens, you'll see what I mean by calling this a wrap. It actually unfolds into an entire wrap that just really complex design that lets you have access to the cards inside. And here you go, you can get a full look at the wrap, even has some nice interior artwork. I think this is borrowed actually from the Eye of the Ocean decks, the map that he developed for that one. And then he uses that kind of as the artwork on the interior of the tuck. It's a really cool wrap here. I will say one drawback, if you choose to open this, it is super hard to close back up. You get this little flap here that inserts into the other side here, and it's super fragile. You can see mine's already actually creasing from what it takes to actually seal this up. So really unique look to it overall. Not the most functional tuck box, I guess I would call it, but love the experimentation and can't wait to see how he evolves. I think this is probably the part that needs the most evolution before the final product, but really cool look to it overall. But let's check out the cards. All right, so first off, a look at that painted edge here. So this isn't gilding, instead is kind of a painted edge, which has a much more matte feel, and that yellow color is a great look to it overall. It's a unique color you don't often see in cards, and a great contrast to the reds and the blues that are used on the cards themselves. Really cool look to it. And then the back design also nicely plays off of that hourglass shape. So you get the twisting red and blue snakes, and then the alternating red and blue border around the edge with the matte background. It's a great look to it overall. And the sword running down the center just kind of gives you a nice little focal point. Love the little crowns with the 17 in Roman numerals on the top and the bottom. And everything just really nicely comes together to very much play off of the flow of that unique shape of the cards. Really like the artwork on these. The snakes are great little touch on this one. Just a great, very clean back design overall. And then we turn to the cards themselves. All right, so starting off with the Ace of Spades, this is the one that we saw peeking out through the tuck wrap there, and a look at one of the characters of the 17th Kingdom. So this is not really a particular set of lore associated with this one, other than to say all the characters we'll see through the deck are characters that are part of this mysterious kingdom. So you'll see this is, of course, the 17th Kingdom experimental. The character there in the center holding the large sword definitely has kind of a familiar vibe if you're familiar with other decks from Stockholm 17. Definitely has some of the trademark elements of his illustration style. Love the face paint, those markings on the face, and the clothing is kind of reminiscent of what you might see in decks like House of the Rising Spades, but the color palette and the art design definitely takes on a unique feel in this one. Really great look to this one. The pip and the index even nicely angled to kind of give you that perspective and again play off of that unique shape of the cards. As you get to the number cards, a great little, almost like a watermark here that's reminiscent of the back designs of the cards, those pair of snakes that are coiled around the sword in the center. And then the pips, I love the touch of just distorting them at the edges, again playing off of that shape in yet another unique way. So as you go through the pips, you'll see kind of a almost translucent look to them as they're kind of revealing bits of that watermark in the back design. And then as you get to more of the pips on the cards, you'll see the distortions as you go in the top and the bottom. Great little touch. And then the courts, all done in brilliant detail. Each one of them, again, kind of one of the mysterious characters from the kingdom. And they have kind of serene or determined looks on their faces, and unique clothing, hairstyles, headgear. Everything just gives us a great touch. I like the color palettes used on these. The grays, the reds, and the yellows are a really nice mix. And these really just have a lot of vibrancy and life to them. And of course, they're adapted in their shape to fit into that hourglass shape, but really great artwork. Again, familiar and yet unique at the same time from Lorenzo. Here's the Ace of Hearts. So features a slightly opaque, I guess I would say, a heart pip in the middle with the sword drawn into the middle. And at the top, you'll see the hearts are dedicated to the high priests of the kingdom. Number cards here, that red, almost a little bit of a tinge of like pink or orange to it, rather than the classic deep crimson. And then some of those high priests that are featured on the hearts. Love the goggles here on the Jack of Hearts. Kind of has a, I don't know, I would call it a steampunk vibe to it or something like that. And then that almost scared look on the Queen of Hearts. The clubs now dedicated to the merchants. Another sword driven into the club pip. And then as we get to the club courts, we'll see some of those merchants. I don't know, all these have just such a great look to them. Every one of the characters is unique. I wish there was a little bit of backstory. I think that would have made it cool. And then finally, the knights are on the diamond. So there's your diamond pips. And then we get to the 3 knights on the court cards. King of Diamonds definitely looks a little bit more like a king than a knight. Another nice little detail. I love these little spatters of color, almost like spatters of paint behind them that give it a unique look. And then finally, we get to the extra cards, 2 additional characters as the jokers of the deck. One of them a bit like an assassin, dual wielding blades there. And then kind of like a high priestess, I guess I would call it, here on the second of the jokers. Another great look to these. A little bit simpler on the styles, a little bit more angular than some of the courts, but a great look to them overall. And then the last 2 extra cards, you get an Ad Kingdom for the 17th Kingdom experimental, and you can see more of those map details, again borrowed from the map that he designed for Eye of the Ocean. You can even see Spade Island down here at the bottom. And then finally, a thank you card to Patreon. So because this is the Patreon edition, you can see the little letter here to patrons and signed or a facsimile signature down here at the bottom from Lorenzo. Great little personalized touch to make this one special if you remember the Patreon. And that is the deck. Overall, just such a unique take on playing cards and some amazing artwork to go with it. Didn't just throw out a simple deck, decided to go all out and make it a really special experience. So fantastic deck. I will say, I can't wait to see the adaptations in the tuck box, because I think the tuck box right now is a little bit more gimmicky than finished product. But overall, for an experimental deck, I love the test and the kind of playing around with different ideas, and I think it came out great with the 17th Kingdom. So that's the look at 17th Kingdom Experimental. Take a look on the secondary market if you want to pick one of these up for yourself. I'm sure they'll be out there and you can find those. And of course, keep an eye out for the final version, the finished product, hopefully later this year. And like I said at the beginning, if you haven't signed up for the Patreon from Stockholm 17, just a few days left, so don't miss out on that. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.